The war between Iran and the United States-Israel alliance has entered its 8th day, and the conflict is spreading across the Middle East. Iran has continued launching missile and drone attacks on Gulf states, targeting locations where U.S. military bases and strategic infrastructure are located. The situation is rapidly escalating and raising fears of a wider regional war. Below is a full, extended explanation of the latest developments, attacks, and consequences of the war. Iran continues attacks on Gulf states on Day 8 of War 1. Background: how the war began. The conflict began on the 28th of February, 2026, when the United States and Israel launched major airstrikes on Iranian military and nuclear facilities. These strikes were part of an operation aimed at destroying Iran's missile capabilities and weakening its government. Following the attacks, Iran responded with a massive retaliation campaign. Ballistic missile launches, drone attacks, strikes on U.S. bases, and allied countries in the region since then. The conflict has spread across Iran, Israel, Lebanon, Iraq, and several Gulf states. 2 massive drone and missile attacks across the Gulf on Day 8 of the war. Iran launched waves of missiles and drones towards several Gulf countries, particularly those hosting American military bases. Countries targeted include United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman. Many of these attacks targeted energy infrastructure, ports, airports, and military facilities. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said the attacks were part of retaliation against US aggression. 3. Attacks on the United Arab Emirates. The UAE has been one of the most heavily targeted Gulf countries. According to official reports, Iran launched hundreds of drones and missiles toward the UAE. Debris from intercepted missiles damaged buildings in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Some explosions were reported near Dubai International Airport. Palm Jumeirah areas around Burj Al Arab. Authorities temporarily closed airspace and warned residents to stay indoors. 4 strikes on Kuwait. Iran also launched missile attacks on Kuwait, where major U.S. military bases are located. Reports indicate nearly 100 ballistic missiles and over 280 drones were fired toward Kuwait. Kuwaiti air defenses intercepted many of them. Several military personnel were killed and others injured. The attacks specifically targeted American and coalition military facilities. 5. Drone attacks on Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's eastern oil region also came under attack. Iranian drones and missiles targeted Ras Tanura oil refinery, military installations, strategic energy infrastructure. Saudi air defenses managed to intercept multiple drones and cruise missiles. However, analysts say these attacks were meant to threaten global oil supply routes. 6. Strike on Bahrain and the U.S. Fifth Fleet. One of the most sensitive targets attacked was Bahrain, home to the U.S. Navy Fifth Fleet headquarters. Iran launched missile and drone strikes toward the island. Consequences included damage near military installations, civilian buildings hit by debris, at least 1 civilian death, and several injuries. There were also reports of damage to desalination plants, which are critical for drinking water supplies in the Gulf. 7. Attacks on Oman and shipping routes. Iran has also targeted ports and shipping routes in Oman. Drone attacks struck Duqm Port, Salalah Port, oil tankers in nearby waters. 1 tanker crew member was killed and several others injured. These attacks have raised fears about the safety of the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil shipping routes in the world. 8. Oil supply crisis and global economic impact. Because of the war and the attacks on Gulf states, oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz have been disrupted. Kuwait has already cut oil production due to the conflict. The Strait of Hormuz carries about 20% of the world's oil supply. So, prolonged disruption could cause major increases in global energy prices. Air travel has also been disrupted across the region due to missile threats. 9. Rising casualties across the region. The war has already caused significant casualties. Current estimates suggest over 1,200 people killed in Iran, hundreds injured in Gulf states. Deaths reported in Israel and Lebanon as well. Thousands of civilians have been displaced as cities face repeated airstrikes. 10. Iran's warning to Gulf countries. Iran's leadership has sent mixed messages. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian apologized to neighboring Gulf countries for some attacks, said Iran does not intend to fight Arab neighbors, warned that any country allowing U.S. attacks from its territory will be targeted. This means Gulf states could become direct participants in the war if they allow U.S. military operations. 11. Fear of a wider Middle East war. Military experts say the situation could still escalate further. Possible scenarios include Gulf states joining the war alongside the U.S., Hezbollah opening a full front from Lebanon, attacks on oil infrastructure across the region, major naval conflict in the Persian Gulf. Some analysts warn the conflict could become the largest Middle East war in decades. 12. What could happen next? The next phase of the war may include 1. Larger U.S. and Israeli airstrikes on Iranian cities. 2. More Iranian missile attacks across the Gulf. 3. Naval battles in the Strait of Hormuz. 4. Possible involvement of regional militias and proxy groups if Gulf countries officially join the war. The conflict could expand dramatically. Summary: the Iran-US-Israel war has reached day 8. Iran continues launching missile and drone attacks on Gulf states, hosting U.S. bases. Countries affected include UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman. Oil infrastructure and shipping routes are under threat. Casualties are rising, and the risk of a larger Middle East war is increasing.